Decoded.
Welcome to this edition of Book Decoded. Today we're cracking open Wellness Reimagined by Erin Clifford.
Yeah, this one's aimed squarely at, busy professionals, anyone feeling that constant squeeze.
Exactly. It's pitched as a guide to building maybe a more fulfilling life, even when everything's go, go, go. So we've dug into it.
And we're pulling out the key stuff.
Right.
The actionable ideas, the insights that can actually help you reclaim some well-being.
That's the plan. Give you a shortcut to understanding the core principles from the book and how they might apply to, well, your life.
Okay, so where does it start? What's the first big idea?
Right. So the book kicks off by challenging how we usually think about wellness. It argues it's not just not being sick.
It's more positive than that.
Yeah, exactly. It's the presence of life, like real vitality in your body, your mind, and your soul, too. Or a really holistic view.
And it emphasizes that this looks different for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. It's highly personal.
Totally. Which leads directly into this core concept the book talks about, your values.
The North Star idea.
Yeah.
I found that really interesting.
Me too. It frames your fundamental beliefs, what you really care about, as your guide.
And it's not just philosophical fluff. The book presents it as a practical tool. Knowing your values helps you filter decisions.
To make sure your actions actually line up with the life you want, which, the book argues, boosts psychological well-being, reduces stress.
And the flip side is also true, it seems. When your actions don't match your values.
That's it. That's where the disharmony creeps in. That feeling of unease, maybe extra stress. Often it comes back to that mismatch.
Okay. So how do you visualize that?
Yeah.
Or manage it?
Well, the author introduces this concept called the Wheel of Harmony. Picture a circle divided into different life areas.
Like career, family, health, self-care, that kind of thing.
Exactly those. And the key insight isn't about keeping every slice perfectly equal all the time. That's pretty much impossible for most people.
Right. Life happens. Different seasons, as the book calls them.
Precisely. So some areas will naturally need more focus at different times. The point is to intentionally weave them together.
Guided by those North Star values you mentioned. So you're choosing where the focus goes rather than just reacting.
You got it. Making intentional shifts. Okay, so if you have this wheel, these important areas, how do you protect them? Especially when life gets demanding.
Boundaries. That's a huge piece of it in the book.
Yeah, and the analogy used is really helpful. Think of boundaries like fences.
Right. Not walls to shut people out completely, but fences to protect what's valuable inside.
They keep out the things that drain you or pull you away from your values, and they safeguard the time and energy you need for what does matter on your wheel.
And the book really stresses that this isn't selfish. It's actually strategic. Good boundaries lead to, well, better time management.
Yeah, you're saying no to the less important stuff.
Exactly. So better time management, more productivity on what counts, and less of that background stress.
It sounds fundamental, really, especially for busy professionals.
Definitely. And that links into self-care too, doesn't it?
It does. The book uses the oxygen mask rule analogy. Put your own mask on first before helping others.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Pretty much. You can't be present or effective if you're running on empty. And the book emphasizes practical, flexible self-care, not some extreme all-or-nothing thing.
So, more about building small things into daily routines, morning, workday, evening.
Yes. Consistency over intensity. Even tiny habits done regularly add up, that compound effect.
Okay, what about specifics? Like fitness or nutrition? Does it offer practical tips there?
It does, and they feel quite achievable. For fitness, it highlights research suggesting 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week.
Which sounds like a lot, maybe, but when you break it down.
Right. The book points out that's only about 1.5% of your whole week. Suddenly seems much less daunting, doesn't it?
Yeah, the reframing helps. And nutrition.
Similar approach. Less about strict rules, more about shifting towards nutrient-dense whole foods. It mentions things like the 80-20 approach.
So 80% mindful, nourishing choices, and 20% flexibility for enjoyment.
Exactly. Or the idea of crowding in, just focus on adding more fruits and vegetables, which naturally leaves less space for other stuff. Simple, but effective.
It's all about sustainable shifts, it seems, not quick fixes.
Definitely. And to make those shifts stick, the book talks about planning, specifically setting SMART goals.
Ah, yes, the classic acronym. Specific, measurable.
Achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Yeah.
Using that framework helps you turn vague intentions into actual, actionable steps
Right. It helps you build habits, kind of anticipate the roadblocks.
and stay motivated when things inevitably get busy or challenging. It's about setting yourself up for success.
So pulling it all together, this look at Wellness Reimagined suggests building that harmonious life isn't really about perfection.
No, not at all. It seems to be much more about making conscious choices day by day.
Choices aligned with what truly matters to you, those values, that North Star, and then using practical tools like boundaries and routines to protect your energy for those things.
Which brings us to a really potent question for you, listening to this deep dive.
Yeah.
If you took a moment right now to consciously identify your core personal values, how might that clarity actually change the way you approach building your own wheel of harmony?
And what boundaries might you need to put in place to protect it?
Exactly. Something important to mull over as you navigate your own busy seasons.